Okay, so, y'all let me know if y'all can hear me. I tried to turn on my mic. Can anybody hear me? Um, okay, so, uh, y'all let me know if y'all can hear me. I tried to turn on my mic. Okay, looks like y'all can hear me. Okay, so yeah, welcome to my first ever stream. Um, I don't tend to do this. I usually just use my YouTube channel to post whips. And for context, like I'm not really super interested in becoming a YouTuber or anything, or maintaining a channel. But it's nice that you guys dropped by. Appreciate y'all. Like I said, I just want to kind of use this channel to just show people what I'm working on. Just it's all chill, no big deal. Um, and I figured people might want to see the progress going on with this Shrike, this little bird boy, this little plane. And yeah, so that's what we're doing today. Um, as y'all can see, right now I'm trying to model the engine intake back here, or at least one of them, one of the mini engine intakes, because those artists back at the Halo Wars days really loved to just like give everything tons of engine intakes, even ground vehicles for some reason, just like big ol' big ol' like portholes for air to get sucked through. Um, yeah, it makes everything look all cool and mecha and stuff. So yeah, okay, there we go. But yeah, so I guess I'm just gonna like also fair warning. I love to just ramble on like a complete lunatic, so I might just literally be talking to myself, and you guys are gonna have to suffer if you're interested in watching this stream. I hope y'all enjoy that kind of content. So yeah, um, for context, this is a program called um, Autodesk 3ds Max. And this is an industry standard 3D modeling software that has been used by the industry for like, you know, almost 20 years. Um, and this is what most of the games you play and love and enjoy have been modeled in. Everything from Assassin's Creed to the original Halo games to like just about everything else. Um, if you don't know, Autodesk is a company which owns the majority of industry standard 3D modeling softwares. Um, and so, like, they own Maya, they own 3ds Max, they own, um, oh god, like tons of them. Um, so yeah, Max is my preferred tool of choice just because that's what I was taught in school. And I've been using it for so long, it's really hard to like pick up anything else. Um, Although there are a lot of really great 3D modeling programs out there. Like obviously you've probably heard of Blender, and then there's also Modo. There's Maya, of course, and yeah. So I like to do my modeling in 3ds Max, and then at least with regards to the Halo mod stuff, obviously Blender is kind of what the Halo mods are sort of designed to work with, or at least there's a lot of support in Blender that kind of interoperates with the mod tools for Halo, um, because Blender's of course free, and lots of people know it at this point. And yeah, but I am still a Max guy. So as much as possible, I like to do all my main modeling in 3ds Max and then port it to Blender, which can be a bit of a pain sometimes, but yeah. And yes, you can get, I think almost all of the Autodesk programs with a student license. That is, if you go to like any university or community college or whatever, and you can like verify that you are in fact a student, you can get a lot of these tools for free for educational purposes. So if you are somebody who aspires to break into the game industry and you want to learn some, professional 3D modeling software, you know, that is an avenue you can take. Um, and yeah, within that context, just because none of you asked, but I'm going to tell you anyway, um, if you happen to be one of those people who is interested in breaking into the game industry and you're wondering like, oh well, I want to like learn how to start 3D modeling. Should I learn Blender? Um, I'm not going to say no because Blender is an incredible tool and I respect it immensely. However, the way the industry works, like Blender has not really caught on as much as a lot of people like to say or as much as people think. It's definitely a super, super powerful tool, and it's like really shaking things up. But um, the problem is most professional studios have been using Autodesk products for like 20 years, and they have spent literally millions of dollars building a pipeline around those Autodesk programs. And so they already have those tools. They already have their licenses and their plugins and all the stuff that makes their whole machine run. So they don't necessarily need to transition to Blender. And yes, even though it's free, you would think, oh, well, wouldn't that save them tons of money? Um, no, not necessarily, because again, if they were to adopt Blender, they would have to completely like scrap all of their existing setup and like all of their tools, all of their plugins, everything. It would all have to get scrapped, and basically they would have to base their entire pipeline around Blender because unfortunately Blender doesn't tend to operate with other 3D softwares that well. At least not as well as like, tools within the Autodesk suite. So like for instance, as an example, because I know I think I'm being kind of vague. So let's say you have a character, right? Let's say you have a 3D model of a robot character, and he's got this very specific custom rig, and you want him to do specific things, and you know, let's say you used Maya, right? Because Maya is kind of the go-to animation software. So you built this really cool, sophisticated rig in Maya, and you're like, okay, well, what if I want to throw it into Blender for like, this or that? Well, you probably have to transfer it to Blender using a file format called FBX. And FBX is not super well supported in Blender. There's somebody who made a better FBX plugin, which is technically better, but at least in my experience, there's still a lot left to be desired. It's still like not the most stable, and like the translation isn't super one to one in my experience. Um, so it is an improvement, but it's still like uh, using FBX with Blender is still pretty clunky, and in my opinion. But yeah, that's one example, and then there's like just so many others because it's like there's so many cool plugins for Blender that like even as a Max user I want to try, but the problem is that like so for instance there's Box Cutter and then there's Decal Machine in Blender, which what they do is you take like a simple shape in Blender and you just start stamping cool like latches and bolts and rivets and all this other stuff. Um, and like it looks gorgeous. Um, but the problem is like a lot of that stuff doesn't necessarily bake down into what's called normal maps. And I'll feel like explaining normal maps right now, uh, but yeah, like that's a huge, huge pain point. So it's like we can't just like literally export that and transfer it onto a model because it's just like it's kind of only designed to work within Blender. And that's another thing is the Blender Foundation, they their like stated mission objective is like we don't necessarily want to actually break into the professional industry, right? Like we don't want necessarily to cater to Hollywood and all these movie studios and like game studios. We want to enable people to be able to do really amazing things, but we're not really interested in like, becoming the next, ZBrush or 3ds Max or Maya or whatever. Um, we're interested in just making Blender more powerful. So in order for Blender to really catch on in the industry, Blender would have to learn to just like play nice and like operate with Houdini and Modo and Maya and all the other stuff that like most existing 3D professionals use. Um, and it's not to say Blender hasn't been used in the industry. Like there are like indie studios like every day that are starting to adopt Blender, and there's some pretty impressive like movies that have been made almost completely in Blender. But the thing is, those are usually startups that built everything around Blender from the beginning. So they didn't invest all those millions of dollars into an existing pipeline. They're like, okay, we're starting from scratch with Blender, and it works for us. But yeah, that's just like an incredibly long-winded explanation of why, like, if you are a potential student wanting to get into the game industry or movie industry for that matter, and you're thinking, oh man, should I learn Blender? I'm not going to say no, but if you really want to get a job, I recommend you learn Maya, because Maya is basically a ubiquitous software. Um, Even 3ds Max, like as much as I love Max and as much as I use Max, 3ds Max is not as popular as Maya or as ubiquitous as Maya because I've seen plenty of studios that have like a team of 3D artists that don't have 3ds Max. I have never seen a studio that doesn't use Maya. They all have to use Maya just because Maya is like the program for animation. Like there's so much stuff that only Maya can do. And also, there's a lot of plugins. Maya is really useful for plugins. So, like, if you have a specific game engine or even just a specific game, so many people just write plugins in Maya to help like optimize an asset uh, for your game before export. Like most of the jobs I've worked at, like I model a character or a weapon or something, and then I have to export it to Maya just to click a few buttons so that the plugin like does its thing, and then it exports the asset to like Unreal or Unity or something. Anyway, that was like just me not even paying attention to chat and rambling for like 15 minutes. So I hope you enjoyed. Ugh. Um, Anthony LaMonica said that long-term contracts are locking professionals out of using other products. I don't think that's necessarily true because um, everywhere I go, or at least most places I go, um, there is usually a pretty agnostic policy to like, yeah, you can use whatever tools you want. Like we can get you a license and whatever you're comfortable with. We just care about results. Um, Obviously, not every place is like that. I have worked at places where it's like, no, we use this program to model because we have a very specific pipeline. But more and more these days, if an artist models in ZBrush exclusively, right, or some other guy uses Modo exclusively, there's a lot of studios that are willing to kind of compensate or cater to them, and they're like, yeah, we'll get you a professional license, don't worry about it. And then some other freelancers are able to just like use their own license. Like me personally, I have a subscription to 3ds Max, so this is not like a torrent or anything. This is a legitimate copy, and I have used it for certain freelance gigs. Um, but there is something to that. Like, there are places that like we don't use anything other than this. Like I remember a long time ago, I was actually applying to Rooster Teeth, which is here in Austin, Texas, by the way. Um, and they have such an incredibly specific pipeline. They're like, we model everything in Maya, we render everything in Maya, and it's like, unless you're a Maya guy exclusively, we can't hire you. So I didn't get to work for Rooster Teeth, unfortunately. But yeah, so that was one instance where it's like, yeah, I probably lost a job opportunity just because they are a Maya studio. And there's been a lot of that. Yeah. But yeah, um, since y'all volunteered to listen to me ramble even more, um, Yeah, so what I'm doing here is you'll notice how um, this seems like a pretty simple shape for the most part, and then like it'll get like smoothed, right? So like notice how there's this like low poly kind of version where you can see the sharp facets of each face, right? And then it gets all smooth, right? Well, and I don't know if y'all can actually, oh well, you probably can't see it at all, but I'll take a screenshot. Wait, no, I can't do that. I'm learning how to stream. Like, cut me some slack. Like, I don't know how any of this works. But anyway, in 3ds Max, there's what's called modifiers, and modifiers basically, well, they modify the object you're working on. And so, for example, if I make a whoop, whoa, if I just make a simple cube, right? Make a little box, all right? This is a very simple box. It's only got, 6 sides. If I press a hotkey and smooth it, whoops, I'm using what's called a turbo smooth modifier. And almost every 3D program has some version of this, and it goes under different names. Sometimes it's called subdivision, sometimes it's called turbo smooth, sometimes it's called open subdiv. But basically, what it does is this modifier first adds more polygons, right? It divides each of the faces into fours, and then I can go higher, higher, higher. But at the same time, it also relaxes the model. So you get like a smoother result. And what I do, like this is like the key to my workflow. This is like one of the reasons I'm so fast at modeling is what I will do is I'll draw a shape, right? I'll just like make any old shape, right? I'll make a shape and then I will turn it into a plane. Then I have to connect the dots to make good, even polygons. And so we have polygons that are all like, neat and nice. And so I've divided this face into a series of quads, meaning quad faces. Quad meaning, of course, 4 points, 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically a bunch of quads. And then I like to extrude it, give it some thickness, and then what I can do is I can put this turbo smooth modifier on it, but notice how it gets all blobby. Well, what I can do is I can turbo smooth, I can subdivide by smoothing groups. And what smoothing groups are is they allow you to smooth the normals between faces. So if I select all these and I smooth them all into one smoothing group, then notice how it's starting to smooth them together, right? So let me give it a little more detail, and that's extra smooth. Look at that, so smooth. But then if I say take this face and I decide to put it on its own smoothing group, suddenly it's really sharp. See that? And I just do that with this guy, and I do that with this guy, and yeah. And so now this thing is like super crazy sharp, like it'll cut you like a knife. So I like to give it just a little bit of softness around the edges, and I can just do that by um, adding another smoothing group on top of that. And that rounds off those corners nice and smooth to the touch. And that will give you a nice smooth object, and it looks kind of realistic too, because in the real world, it's very rare that you have, absolutely razor sharp edges on everything. It does happen, but especially if it's like a real world machine that gets used a lot, the natural elements and wear and tear on a machine is going to smooth over those sharp corners over time, and they will start to look a little bit like this. Also, if it's something somebody's supposed to like hold or handle a lot, an engineer will deliberately smooth over corners and stuff. Um, so like, if it's like a very specific machined piece, like it's from a CNC machine, a lot of time what engineers will do is give it a bevel. Um, And this is one way to create a bevel, where I just take this guy, and then I take the edge, and then I just put those all on their own smoothing groups, and bam, there's a little edge bevel. And that looks a lot more machined. But yeah, that's kind of my basic workflow. And that's so all of that is basically what I do with all of this. Like that is that is the fundamental principle to my modeling technique. Yeah. Noble of Death, thank you, dude. Thank you for joining the stream. And yes, I had a lot of fun making the Season 5 armor, dude. The flood stuff. The team had so much fun doing the flood stuff. Oh my god. Like, it was every week we like, one of the guys would, show work in progress of like the sculpt, and, every time he showed the screenshots, we were all like, "Oh my god, that's so gross! That is disgusting!" And you're like, "We're on the right track." Um, but yeah, like that stuff was so much fun to make. And then so the way it works is, uh, everything I was just showing you is basically sort of known as the high poly to low poly workflow. And by what I mean by that is, so for example, most game assets these days are created by first creating a high detail, high poly object that is like super detailed, and it's got like, the bolts and rivets and stuff like that. And then what goes into the game is a low poly version of that same model. And what the low poly does is it basically scans all of the detail from the high poly and, transfers that to a texture, like a color texture, a specular map texture, and what's called an albedo texture. The albedo colors the colors, or the albedo captures the colors. The normal map captures like the smoothness and the details and all the other stuff that bends light, and then the specular, or the roughness map, captures how shiny the object is. And so once you have your texture maps, baked onto the low poly model, that is what gets exported to the game. So anyway, what I did for Season 5 with the Flood stuff was somebody else sculpted all of the organic fleshy bits on the Flood, and then me and like the rest of the team, we retopologized it, which means that's just a fancy way of saying we built the low poly version of the Flood model and then transferred it into textures. So I did, you probably saw like a flood infected George, or I guess it's not necessarily George, but like you saw like George's armor with like flood stuff all over it. I did most of those pieces. I retopologized them. I didn't sculpt them. I didn't come up with like the really fancy art of all the nasty bits, but I made the low poly model of most of that stuff, except for the chest. And my God, was it a nightmare. Like, creating new polygons onto all of that flood stuff was just so daunting. And I was doing that for weeks and weeks and weeks. Um, and it's tough too, because like you have to make it as low poly, like you have to use as few polygons as you possibly can, while still capturing enough of the curves and the detail, to look smooth and look good. And that's the constant, challenge of making low poly stuff. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And of course, I got to make the vampire bat armor, which like I love vampires. I love edgy shit. That's just what I'm into. And so I'm like, yes, I get to make the vampire armor. Yes, let's go. So that was a lot of fun. John, Kinnelly, I hope I'm saying that right. Is it possible to view the in-game model for the Enamber clad from H2A outside of the game? Yeah, I think the mod community has come up with, a tool to rip, assets from H2A, I believe. Uh, I don't. I think it's called like Icon, or oh god, what is it called? Sacred Icon or something like that. But there is a tool now specifically designed to rip H2A assets, so you can totally do that. Yeah. So yeah, just to whoever's joining and doesn't have any context of what this is. So I am modeling, or rather, I'm remodeling the cut Halo Wars 1 Falcon. This is a fighter jet that was supposed to be in the first game, but it never got used, and so they made this like kind of high detail model, and they made some screenshots of it, and it never got into the game. And if it did, maybe it does appear somewhere in like one of the games, or like maybe they just like had like kind of like models flying along in the background. I'm not sure, but to my knowledge, it never actually made it into the game. So I'm like, hey man, this is a really cool design. I'm gonna make this and put it in MCC as a flyable vehicle. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. And if you can't tell, the actual original model that they did, it's it's a little janky. Um, just the overall like quality of it, the details, like it's just like um, it left a lot to be desired, and it had like an incredibly specific use case, right? Like this is not what went into Halo Wars 1. This is not the kind of model that would go into Halo Wars 1. And this was only made for creating like screenshots for promotional posters and stuff. So you were only ever going to see this from far away and at a certain angle, which is why like the bottom of it has zero detail, right? So I'm going in and I'm remodeling it and I'm giving it like, you know, smooth corners and like lots of detail, and I'm going to give it a proper underside and all that other stuff and make it like a full game model. Oh yeah, like in terms of canon, I don't have anything to say about that. Like I love making the joke all the time that like, you know, if I if I if I say something, it's now officially canon, right? But no, it is not necessarily canon. It's just if you want to believe it is canon, if you want to incorporate this into your own canon, head canon, I won't stop you. But yeah, there is, I think, a Halopedia article on this thing, and it is still called the Falcon. It's like referred to as the Falcon Fighter. Um, so I like this is for one of Rejected Shotgun's mods, technically, and him and I are like kind of spitballing some names, and we're like, well, we already have the Falcon, so we can't say Falcon. So like, what is this thing? Is it, you know, let's come up with some cool names. So, you know, UNSC fighters or spacecraft tend to have like the names of bladed weapons, right? So like you got the long sword, the short sword, the switchblade. Um, and so we're like, oh man, we could say like jackknife or dagger or something edgy like that. But then I looked on the Halopedia page, and it said that this was actually an atmospheric craft. So this does not actually go into space. So I'm like, oh, okay. Well, then if we go with atmospheric stuff, then we probably want to name it after some kind of bird, like an animal, like the rest of the UNSC vehicles. So, you know, there's like there's only a handful of like birds of prey to choose from. We could say like raptor, or we could say, you know, eagle or something like that. Um, and so like we kind of like sort of came up with the name Shrike because Shrike sounds cool. That's a cool word. Um, Vesper, hey, that wouldn't be a bad one. But yeah, we've I guess we've kind of sort of settled on Shrike for now. Um, we might change it later, but I think for now we're just kind of going with Shrike. Um, that sounds good to us. Okay, so now you get to see me starting on a new piece, and I'm gonna like start it from scratch. So basically, like I said, I just kind of trace out my object, and so I follow the general contour of this thing as I see it. And I don't have to be like super exact, but I just try to block out the basic shape. And doot, connect the dots. There we go, cool. All right, and then I turn it into a face, I raise it up, and then I bring my pivot point, which is like, basically this is supposed to be the center of the object, and I put that at the center of the world so that I can mirror this thing. Yeah, now I got a symmetrical object. Um, and yeah, actually I'm going to get rid of that because I can keep the mirror modifier. And now, I basically just kind of figure out a way to bend the object into shape. Um, so let me give it some internal geometry here. So boop, 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 boop. And then let's take this, and we're going to do something with that later. And then I'll just take this, and yeah, that works. Then connect these dots, and then connect that. Actually, you know what? Let me move this up here. And then I see there's kind of another little curve guy right there. Okay. And then connect these guys. Get some nice even topology. Then cut across there. Yeah. Alright, cool. Now we got... Oh, wait. Need to connect these guys. Yeah, I mean, like, working in low poly is mainly just, like, connecting dots. That is the majority of it. Alright, cool. Alright. Alright, now we symmetrize it, or whatever the word is. Alright, now this is kind of a brute force option. Now I literally just kind of like fold it into place using the shift tool in the freeform modeling tools. And like that is such a useful tool. Just you get a little brush and it allows you to like just kind of paint, shift everything to how you want it. Because a lot of 3D artists, what they'll do is they'll take a point, right, and then they'll move it up. They'll move it up and to the side, in front, and to the side and down, and like they'll do that over and over and over until they finally get it in the right spot. But I just like to sometimes get really quick and dirty with it and just get this brush tool and just shove it into place. And this is going to take like a little bit of finessing because, you know, it is kind of a brute force tactic. And then once you get it generally in the spot you want it, then you can like kind of refine everything. And yeah, and then I'm noticing this is, okay. And I'll move you down, and then I'll give you some extra geometry to work with here. So we can kind of get you in the right spot. And then I'll just go ahead and, so here's another thing. You notice how this part is dipping. So if I just like remove that bit of geometry, it straightens out, which is what I want, because I want this to be like basically a straight sweep down. And I might even do the same here. Keeping your low poly as simple as possible until you're ready to like throw on the subdivide modifier is really important, because the simpler and more like just even and clean your low poly is, the better your high poly is going to be. Generally speaking. Sometimes you have to add detail to your low poly to get certain effects when it does subdivide, but like generally speaking, I try to have just really good, clean, low poly geometry, like as much as I can. Okay, so this is getting a little tricky. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take this and we're going to actually split it, and then I'm going to take this, going to transfer that face selection into edge selection, and then I'm going to move this guy up, then I'm going to bridge it, and I'm going to cap that, and that is getting us closer to where we want to be. Okay, and then I can remove that. Okay. Then, yeah, you know what? I think, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take all of this. Okay, I'm gonna take this, delete that. I'm gonna remove that, because now I'm kind of seeing that these should be separate panels. So I'm going to split that off, and I'm going to delete. Yeah, yeah, that looks a lot better. Yeah, all right, cool. Move that up. And by the way, I apologize if I'm not reading chats as much. Like I'm, you know, I tend to get pretty sucked into it. So if it seems as though I am ignoring you guys, I am not. I apologize. I'm just really focused. Okay. Yeah. And then cut across and cut across. And I'll probably like these two lines right here, these two little like cut acrosses, I'll probably delete those 1,000 times just like in the process of tweaking these shapes. Let's see, get that in a good spot. Um, there we go, that's better. Yeah, that's closer to what I want. And then just, yeah, cool, yeah. Yeah, I'm feeling happy about that. This should be out here, and maybe a little lower, and then you should be definitely a little lower. And so now I think I can start to give these individual smoothing groups. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it looks good. And then what about you? Yeah, you are a little funky panel. Take you, put you down there. Yeah. And obviously, like some of this geometry is just really screwed up, and some of these details, like I said, were not meant to be seen. So I will be taking some artistic liberties just to make it like a clean, good model. Um, that's just kind of inevitable with a lot of these models that are like almost unfinished. Um, but yeah, I'm still like me personally as an artist, I always try to stay as true to the original general look as possible, as much as I can, and then like only take creative liberties like when they're just absolutely necessary. Because I don't know, that's just kind of nerd I am. I always like just bringing an existing vision to life, not necessarily remixing it unless there's a good reason to, you know. Just me. Then let's take this guy and sweep it over the edge and bring this down. Yeah, yeah. And then just kind of flare it out a little bit to get it nice and straight. I almost feel like Bob Ross doing this stuff, man. Like just doing 3D, just happy little accidents, happy little 3D trees. Yeah, yeah, that's nice. I need a dono link, dude. I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm not necessarily interested in becoming a YouTuber or anything. I just use this channel to like show what I'm working on and like, you know, um, I am a contractor, so like after my contract is up, unless they like extend me or like renew my contract or something, I'll probably, you know, move on to the next game job. Um, and you know, at that point, you know, if I don't have something lined up, I've sometimes entertained the idea, sort of like doing a bit of streaming on the side. I don't think I could ever be like a full-on YouTuber. Like, I just don't know if I have the energy or patience for all that. Because to do that, you gotta. It's basically a full-time job. But I mean, like, I like doing fun, chill stuff, and maybe getting a little bit of money just to live stream some passion projects. I don't know. Maybe, maybe someday. I definitely don't know how I feel about taking money right now, though. Um, like in terms of like different revenue streams, um, I don't know. I don't know. It's also something that like my current employment, I would want to like check and verify if it's legally okay first. Um, but so like probably not taking any money right now, but like someday, who knows? Who knows? We'll just have to see. Yeah. I've always wanted to like I've always not wanted, but like, entertain the idea of like doing tutorials and stuff. 'Cause, I like rambling on. Like I love letting my ADHD brain just go nuts and I have a lot to say about a lot of things and anybody who's willing to listen to me, like, yeah, be cool. Be a pretty cool gig. Um and like I have definitely helped a lot of people learn some 3D stuff. Um, and yeah, like I have done presentations at like local game developer meetups, so it's like I'm not unfamiliar at all with doing tutorials type stuffs and presentations. Um, and like, yeah, I don't know for this channel if I ever would get into that, but it's definitely a possibility. Definitely interesting. UNSC fighter asks, how long have you been doing modeling? 10 years. Probably actually closer to 12 years now. Let's see. Oh my God. Uh, yeah, no, so like I started modeling around 2011, 2012 in community college and yeah, so like about mental math, oh my God. Yeah, but, like at least 11 or 12 years thereabouts. So yeah, quite a bit. Let me paint this green just so it looks thematically correct. And then let's see here. All right, now I think this thing's ready for some smoothing groups. Now I'm gonna connect all this stuff, make it a nice solid object. And I'm gonna Oh, you know what? I should probably connect that. Yeah, yeah, there we go. Yeah. And then make that hard. Hard edge. Yeah, hard edge. Okay, now. You know what? I'll take that and make that smooth. There we go. Alright, now, smoothing groups. Create an instance, flip it over. Okay. Give it one more level of sharpness. There we go. Oh god, it does kind of look like a Star Citizen ship. You're right. God. Man, like, okay. Say what you want about Star Citizen. Like, say what you want about the game and whether it'll come out and all that other stuff. I get it. But, as an artist, as a 3D artist, in my opinion, Star Citizen has some of the most gorgeous hard surface sci-fi art I have ever seen. And for that, I admire the hell out of it. Like, it is super inspirational looking at like all of the ships and going on those interiors. They're just so freaking just beautiful. And like, yeah. Yeah. Which, fun fact, I'm pretty sure um, the studio behind Star Citizen, they have a studio in Austin, if I'm not mistaken. And who knows, maybe one day I could work on there, making cool ships and stuff, dude. I would love to do that. Yeah, okay, that's starting to sort of look a little bit not bad. Another thing I like to do is flatten stuff out like so. Hmm. There we go. I'm trying to think of how this will interface with uh, the the air intake. Wait, what the oh. Yeah, it's tough. What I might do is just slice all this off and then remove that guy so that I'm just trying to make these panels fit together in a way that isn't gross, which is tough. Whoa, 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 whoa. Back up. Here we go. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, as Green was mentioning, I think the YouTube algorithms like just saw my thumbnail or something and assumed it was like a Star Citizen ship, which I I guess I'm flattered. It looks like Star Citizen quality, dude. I'll take it. I'll take that compliment. Let's see here. I'll just smooth that out. Why not? Okay, at this point, it's getting the... I'm going to go ahead and take that, and I'm going to basically just copy... I'm going to hide all of my stuff. Hide my stuff. Alright. And then, I'm just going to take all this. Oh, wait. Let me take all this, group it, and then just move it somewhere else. And have a copy so I can look at this stuff side by side. And yeah, so I'm just gonna hide that, hide that. Now let's do this guy. Put that as green. And then let's solidify this whole thing in my bobber. Smoothing group, smoothing group, smoothing group. Delete. And then smoothing group. Smoothing group. Alright, and then smoothing groups. 2. Yeah. Well, kind of gross looking. So let's fix that. Ugh. Okay, so first thing I want is to just get some nice smooth shapes going on here. Okay. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to slide it in. And I'm going to sharpen that. Yeah. Real quick, I want to try making this vent system thing here. And then I'll angle this one in, because it's kind of shaped that way. Then I'll straighten that guy, pull it out, and I'll even add a little bit of bevel. one more. This time, whoop. This time I'll just shrink it and bring it down. And like that. Then smooth and group all that, and boom. Got that air duct going in there. Cool. Now back to you, because you are uggo at the moment. You are uggo as hell. We're gonna un-uggo you. Gonna straighten that out first. What are you? What are you doing? No, no. There we go. Just get some cleaner shapes to work with for now. Then these guys are now all their own smoothing group, and I'm gonna flatten all this mess because it's a little weird. It's a little funky. Let me just take all these and flatten them all down. Cool. But they refuse to be flattened. Oh wait, no. I need to take all of these boys and flatten them. Actually, I'm going to collapse the symmetry, take that whole panel, flat. There we go. There we go. That's better. That's much better. Okay, cool. Now, take these guys, because they're kind of pinching up there. Take them, bring them down. Take this guy, bring it down. Yeah, it's just... Now we smooth it all out. Much better. Cool. Dig it. Okay. Now, this guy. Yes, we have unuglied that section. We did it. Okay, now check this out. So, I'm going to take this section of the sheep. And there we go. Cool. Now I'm going to split it, and I'm going to put a shell modifier on it. What that does is give us a nice panel line. Although, I'm not really happy with how that looks. So I'm actually going to split this off onto its own object. And cut that across. And, well, you know what? Get rid of that. Get rid of that. I'm gonna merge this back. Okay. I'm going to... what's the best way to connect this? Okay, yeah, there, that's fine. Okay, so I'm gonna grab all of this mess. Nope. Not literally all of it. I'm gonna grab all of that. Okay, then I'm just going to extrude it over just a little bit. Then, whoops, extrude it over just a little bit. Then I'm going to take this little trench I've made here. I'm going to connect it. Then I'm going to push it down. Then take all of these guys. Actually, you know what? Just grab this, selection, and then put it on its own smoothing group. Make sure that these two are their own smoothing groups. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I was trying to do. Beautiful. Just absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous. Cool. Um, yeah, and then maybe like take these guys and just kind of push you back down there. All right. There we go. Yeah. um, cool. Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's starting to come together. Hell yeah. Let's connect this. You'll notice sometimes there's a lot of weird bendiness in like in like the high poly, and sometimes you just gotta like force a connection so that it bends the right way. It's like working with sheet metal sometimes. Yeah, dude. There we go. Yeah. And then the whole thing needs to be just a little sharper. So let's. There we go. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm feeling it. I'm starting to feel it, Mr. Krabs. Oh, Demon. What's your dream vehicle to do? That's really tough. It's just like there's so many cool vehicles. They're like especially from Halo Wars. Obviously, I'm biased, and it's like it's funny because I'm not like a massive fan specifically of Halo Wars. Like I don't necessarily think Halo Wars is the greatest game of all time. But my God, they just have so many cool vehicles and additions to the lore that just like spice things up. And it's just like, my God, they just have everything. In terms of dream vehicle, I mean, like I'm kind of doing them. Um, I was really keen on doing the Sparrowhawk, and I really want to do the Mega Mantis, or not the Mega Mantis, the Colossus from Halo Wars. Really want to do the Draugr. I really, really want to do the Super Scarab. At some point, I will be just making a Super Scarab from scratch. I was able to get like some sort of early prototype of the Super Scarab, but it was like an incomplete model and it wasn't quite the high poly model. And yeah, so like I'm just gonna have to like basically model the Super Scarab from scratch. But like that's the closest I can say to like a dream vehicle is the freaking Super Scarab, man. Yeah. Okay. Now we gotta kind of do the same with this little sweep here with the panel line treatment. Although, what? How did I get? Huh? Okay. Oh, okay. So apparently I made a silly mistake, and I need to move this up. Okay, maybe not that much, but like right there. Okay. This. How's this working over here? These panel lines are starting to confuse me. Okay. Okay. What are you doing? Trying to confuse me? Okay. I'll just move you. Whoop. I'm just gonna move this back a wee bit. Then I don't need that at the moment. Yeah, no. Actually, I don't think I need it at all, which is great. Do more with less, man. That's what it's all about. Yeah. Yeah, that's looking nice. It's looking nice and clean. And then I'm going to make this like a nice arch. Well, I'm going to try to make it a more rounded arch. Yeah, just nice and that stuff. Yeah. This too. Take this guy. Oh, hello. Hello? What? Hello? What is going on down here? What's all this messy business? Okay. I'm gonna take this guy and these. I'm gonna make them even. Oh, that was not right. I just want this to be like more semicircular looking. You know what? I have a far better solution to all of this. Just split it down the middle and then take this guy and move him back, move him up, move him back again. Same with you, just nice, even semicircle. Here we go. Yeah, nice and smooth, yeah. Smoothness, man. I'm all about smoothness. UNSC fighter. I have absolutely thought about doing the Draugr, and I have a cut prototype model of the Draugr, which is incredibly simplistic. I think it's the same one Rejected managed to get his hands on. And I absolutely want to make a Draugr at some point. I plan on it. And so I think Rejected and I are going to kind of go two different routes to it. Uh, he wants to do like more of a practical scale one, which is more based on the scale from the like actual model that he managed to get. And I am going to do one from the concept art, which is just this just stupidly big freaking like mobile command center base. It's basically just a city hovercraft, like a hovercraft the size of a city. And um, yeah, that's the one I want to do. So like I'm basically going to make it a level, a straight up like campaign level. The entire ship is an entire campaign level. Um, and I don't know exactly how I want to do it yet. I don't know like if I want to make it a custom campaign mission or I want to try to somehow make that crammed into multiplayer. I don't know yet, but all I know is I want it to exist. I want to play on it. I want it to be just like really epic and ridiculous. That's my plan for it. Yeah. I love seeing like my big thing is I love looking at old Halo concept art and being like, man, I want to play that. So like there's so much cool concept art like the light machine gun I did, that was based on, the Halo Reach concept art. Um, and so I'm like, dude, that is so cool. I'm gonna make that. So I did. And then there is concept art of like these ODSTs with EVA gear, like space jetpacks. And like one of them has a stanchion and he's firing a stanchion in space, which would totally work because like everybody thinks that the stanchion is this big honking behemoth, but it's like it's a railgun. It doesn't have recoil. So yeah, I want to do like a custom campaign mission where you're like flying through space with a stanchion about to assault like a space station, right? Um, and yeah, that's another one I really want to do. Oh hey, I just noticed something. Interesting. Elite Eater. You having problems with your computer, bud? I'm sorry, dude. That sucks. You got a new CPU and it's still not working. Um, what model is it? Is it like one of the new Ryzen 7000s? I'm not sure. Like I'm really not familiar how to debug CPUs. Like graphics cards, there's a lot more I know to check. But yeah, CPUs are really tricky. Oh yeah, guns would totally work in space. And yeah, you're completely right. There's like no way to like cool them so they would overheat super fast. Um, but yeah, guns would work in space. In fact, they'd be pretty good means of propulsion if like you somehow lose your tether from like a space station or whatever, and you're like you have nothing else and you want to try to get back to your ship. You could probably fire off a few rounds, and that would like push you towards um, your wherever you want to go. You can just push yourself around in space by like popping off shots. Not that that's a safe thing to do, but mind you, but it's like if you are desperate, be neat. Yeah, there we go. Oh yeah, it's all coming together. Yeah. Okay, now I need to create this panel line here. And I think the way I'm gonna do that is just okay. There we go. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. There we go. Trying to recreate this little panel line here. I might bevel it in just a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Just gorgeous. And then I'm gonna create this little cut in here. Live with Mary. Um, I don't know. I might do another live stream. Yeah, this is pretty fun so far. I could totally do it again. Um, I don't know if I would make it a habit, but yeah, I'm having fun. Are you guys having fun? Are we all having fun? I can't hear you. I'm gonna assume you're saying yes. I'm gonna assume that I'm a super cool, awesome person that like people like to watch stream. I'm just gonna go with that assumption and hope I'm right. Hmm. Mary, yeah, you can totally yeah, like if you want some of the custom Halo models, I'd be happy to give them. Like for the record, when it comes to all my mod stuff, I post all that stuff free to download on like Nexus, the Nexus servers, um, nexusmods.com for the record. And yeah, no, I try to make sure to upload source files and stuff, and people are free to use them in their own mods. Like, by all means, you don't even have to ask me. I usually just upload them there. Just go ahead and download them, throw them into whatever mods you want. I'm totally cool with it. Like, go for it. But if there is something specific you need or can't find, yeah, let me know. Hmm. Okay, Captain Agent 7. I'll keep that in mind. I'll check hopefully tonight if I remember. But yeah, I'll try to check. Let's see. Man, another thing about this particular model is it's like so tricky because it's like your eyes play tricks on you, right? Like the way this thing is shaded just like makes you think you see things that aren't there. Um, and like wait, wait. Oh, yeah. So, see, like I thought I was seeing a shape that was not there. Um, but I kind of like the way it looked in my tricky vision. So I think I might model it anyway, just because it looks cool. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna do something a little interesting and creative. I'm gonna wait. Oh, E. All right. Yeah, I think that looks kind of neat. And then I'm gonna like continue it with this stuff. In fact, what am I doing here? Hang on. Undo, 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 undo. That's way too complicated. I'm just gonna take all of this. Um, and I'm just gonna inset it. Yeah, and then I'm just gonna push it out. And then take that guy, take that guy. There we go. That's what I was trying to do. Yeah, I think that looks cool. That looks kind of neat. I like it. Okay, now I'm gonna do this little kind of like mouth-shaped cutout. Looking at this at first glance, it almost looks like one of the fighters from Macross. Um, if any of you are familiar with the anime series Macross, it's the anime where you have a bunch of fighter jets that have legs. It's the anime with the plane legs, and I am quite a fan of it. If I were to like be honest about my interests, I am quite a big Macross fan. Love that show, or love that anime series. Fighting aliens with mecha that turn into jets with the power of music. Hell yeah. Hmm. Oh, I'm gonna take all these and I'm gonna try to spread them out. There we go, that's a lot cleaner. John Canelli knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, Rune of September. The freaking like totally not Earth, Wind, and Fire tribute. Love that. Elite Eater. I have not watched Metal Skin Panic, but I have heard good things. I definitely, it's funny. I love mecha so much, but I have seen so few mecha shows, just because like A, there's a lot of them, and I'm not really sure which ones to check out, and B, you know, I love mecha as a genre, but it seems like every single mecha anime is just like so damn depressing. And it's not like I can't watch like, like themes of war or anything like that. Like I can. It's just like a lot of mecha shows are just only that. And I like a little bit of variety um, when I watch anime. Like Gundam is just like, oh my god, I love Gundam to death, right? Like the coolest robot designs you've ever seen. But my god, it gets depressing after a while. So that's why I like Macross, because it's like, yeah, there's war, yeah, there's like, robots and fighting, but then like there's so much partying and music and cool other stuff, and I'm just like, man, this is a freaking vibe. I vibe with Macross so hard. All right, now we can finally do that little mouth-shaped cutout. He's got a little mouth like, heh heh. And then detach to element, and I think I'm going to take all these and up, 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 up. Calm down now. There we go. Hmm. I'm going to tighten that up just a little bit. Take all these edges and just tighten it all up, so we get a little bit of a smoother edge over here, or a sharper edge rather. Yeah, there we go. That's it. That's the move. Yes, Macross missile compilations are amazing. Just gobs and gobs of missiles everywhere. It's so dumb, but so satisfying at the same time. That is the kind of stuff that makes my 9-year-old brain like really happy. Just ridiculous amounts of missiles and lasers, man. All right, I'm just gonna make these sharp. Screw it. Yeah, yeah. Now that's looking hot. That's the good stuff right there. I'm just gonna I'm just gonna like tuck that in for some reason. I don't like this panel like continuing on there. I'm just gonna tuck that in there. so it terminates nice and cleanly. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, this is starting to come together. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this entire panel line, right, and I'm going to physically split it. I'm going to like physically, oh, might want to, oh, nope, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Then I'm going to split it, and now we get like a really nice sharp crease in there because the panel is now a separate object. Yeah, yeah, that's it. Now I'm going to take this and smooth it. Cool. Yeah, love it, love it. Yeah, and that's looking nice and smooth, ain't it? Mmm, tasty, tasty. Yeah, that's feeling good. I vibe with it. James Turner, I have not seen Durarara. My girlfriend has, and she loves that show. And all I know about Durarara is there is... What? You heard Durarara?
I don't love the show.
Okay.
I was obsessed with it in high school, but I never watched it.
Okay, okay. Cool. But yeah, I have a lot of friends who really love Durarara. And all I know is there's a big hunky lizard man with like a ghost living in his mouth or something. I've heard weird things about it, man.
Lizard?
What?
Lizard?
Yeah, lizard guy.
There's no lizard guy.
Am I thinking of? Oh, I'm thinking of Doro Hedoro.
Now that show's hot.
Okay. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. So, yeah.
God!
I'm mixing up my anime. I'm sorry, I'm a fake fan. Um, but yeah, Durarara. No, my girlfriend loves that game. She played it a ton in high school. God, I'm sorry if like I was talking about a completely different anime and you were like, "What the hell is he going on about?" That was my bad. I need to familiarize myself with the animus. Okay, now I'm going to um, I'm going to um, going to extrude this down just a bit, and then I'm going to detach that part and make it gray, and going to whoop, going to turbo smooth that and just yep, cool, love it. Now I'm going to add these little slats in here, little vents. So going to draw a rectangle. Say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I'm gonna have 7 splits, and then I'm going to shift them forward, and then yeah, I'm going to take that, split them all, then I'm going to whoop. Actually, you know what? I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here. Take these guys, split them, take all the faces, then I'm gonna rotate them like so. Now I'm going to take them and slant them, move them over, put them down in there. And I'm going to orient them correctly. This might take a second. Let's see, is that right? Oh yeah, we should probably, Okay, now it's getting tricky. So I'm gonna shrink this to make sure it's even inside of the vents. Then I'm going to stretch it out so it lines up with like, it's parallel with this lip here, because that's what it's kind of doing over there. And then, yeah, that seems good. And then, I'm probably gonna have to just take this guy. As much as I love this little kind of like slanted intake here, I'm probably just gonna have to move it forward to line up with everything else so that everything is nice and even. We want everything to be even and geometrically neat. Alright, now I'm going to color it gray, and I'm going to put a shell modifier on it, and then I'm going to subdivide it. Then, whoop, maybe, yeah. Yep. Just small little tweaks like that. Then I'm going to add it. You know what? I should not have subdivided it. I should not have subdivided it. Hang on. So I'm gonna take a step back, get it angled just right. Yeah, the missiles, I don't, yeah, so the missiles are literally just sticking out of this little box here, which is, I've never seen a missile system work like that. Um, like, I'm pretty sure that will not work for many, many reasons. And I've seen a render of this aircraft where, like, the artist just took the missiles out because, and, like, basically treated this like another air intake, which I think I might do. And I might, like, mount the missiles on, like, the wings somewhere. Because, yeah, it's kind of goofy. It's kind of like, ooh, missiles. But yeah, the missiles are a little odd looking right there. Yeah, and this is like overall obviously a really funky looking design. It's still cool in my opinion, but it is pretty funky. And like there's a lot of parts of it that don't necessarily make much sense. Like this whole piece right here looks like a single contiguous engine manifold, but it's like we got missiles in the front and like what kind of looks like an exhaust in the back, but it's not the same color as this exhaust, and it's got this little freaking like techno laser looking thing here, which to me implies like I don't know a slip space drive or something. Um, Something makes it go faster. I don't know. I think what I'm gonna do is like I mean, like if I were to freaking like justify all this in my head with like lore or whatever, I'm thinking like maybe this whole apparatus of three different engines right here is the slip space drive, and then these two engines right here are the atmospheric or just like sublight engines. That's how I'm rationalizing in my head. I'm gonna stick with that. Yeah. And then you know what else I could probably do here? Just to make things a little more interesting. I could take all these guys and I could shrink them down. And I can do like so. And then what I can do is take these guys. I just want to add a little bit of decoration. Just cuz. Do like so. And then just bevel them in a little bit. And then take all of this stuff and make it hard. And then delete these sides, because the sides will cause weird funky stuff with smoothing sometimes. Add it. And then, yeah, there we go. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. And then I think I'll take these lips, and what I'll do is I'll stick them out a little bit so they're more blade looking, and I'll even smooth them. Yeah. Whoa. Whoa. These got super thin. What the heck? Okay, hang on. Wait. Okay, I'm gonna take these. I'm gonna do like so. I'm gonna taper them a little bit so they actually fit in this channel and look evenly spaced. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, just a little something. Just a little something. There we go. Yeah! Yeah! That's looking nice. Yeah, I know, dude. I don't know if these are slip space drives. I don't know, but they're something, and they don't look like they have anything to do with like atmospheric space travel or atmospheric space, atmospheric propulsion. They look like they charge something up, like they're a booster pack or something. I don't know. I'm like not thinking too hard about it. I'm just trying to come up with some kind of justification as to what the hell those things are. So yeah. Oh yeah, Halo's 2's Falcon. Like, man, I would love to one day like redo Halo 2's Falcon and just like make a completely new model from scratch for that guy. Cause like, I mean like, it's such a kind of dumb vehicle, but it's also kind of cool. And like, that'd be cool, right? Like, just like, relive your 14-year-old like dreams. Like, oh man, I saw this cut Bungie vehicle, and like, I could fly the Falcon. It's so cool. Yeah, be neat. I might do it someday. Hang on, I gotta create some more materials. So like, I'm gonna make one material that's just a blackout texture, roughness. Okay, and then gonna just so we have like an empty vent with like a dark void or something there. Um, and then I also want to take this and make a light gray because I want to split off this lip for the engine and make that light gray. and something is preventing it from being split. There we go. Now color that light gray. Yeah. And then maybe a little darker. Yeah. Noble Phantasms. This is 3ds Max. This is Autodesk 3ds Max. And this is my primary tool of choice for 3D modeling. You know what? Maybe I don't want that to be gray. I'm going to put it back to green. Green. Green, please. I want it to be green. Make it green. Fine, whatever. And then I should probably cap off this engine at the back here. Make that what? Oh, detached element. Make that black. There we go. There we go. That's looking nice. There we go. The sharp things are sharp and the smooth things are smooth. And maybe I should actually try removing. Actually, I'm going to remerge all of this. Yeah. That looks a little ugly up there. Yeah, no. Undo. What to do about you? It's a little funky, isn't it? There we go. That's a little cleaner. Hey, UNSC fighter. Thanks for tuning in. Like, yeah, definitely come by if I ever decide to do it again. Um, Elite, fun fact, this is very similar to a lot of the old Saber concept art. Yes, you are right. There are many, many, many concept sketches of the Saber from Halo Reach, and a lot of them went on to basically form the basis of the fighters in Destiny, if you've seen those. So yeah, makes sense. want to get this to look nice and smooth and even. Goodbye, Delta. Thank you for watching. I appreciate everybody like watching me make plane. It's been fun. I'm not leaving. I'm just saying it has been fun so far, and I appreciate y'all. Do 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 do. I would like to add like a little bit of background music, but last time I tried doing that, YouTube got a little angry with me. So I need to like make sure I find some good royalty-free chill music to put on in the background. Um, Mary, so this vehicle does not yet have an interior. It's literally blank. And even in the original model, it's like there's nothing inside. So, I will be modeling a cockpit, but I am not quite there yet. I'm trying to get that to be smooth. Yeah. 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 Okay. Where were we up here? All right. Yeah, okay. Hmm. Yeah. So let me just do these little panels real quick. Boop. All right. Mirror, and then give it some good topology, and then I'm going to pick a surface, and then I am going to conform. Oh, let me get rid of the materials. I'm going to conform it to that surface. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Hmm. There's a lot of different ways to make this get the right shape I want. And boom, we got a floater there. Um, for those of you who don't know, a floater is basically when you want to create a piece of like surface detail, like a panel or a rivet or a bolt or something, and you just kind of fake it by placing a 3D object just slightly on top of the surface, just barely not even touching it, and it's so close that it looks like it's actually part of the underlying object. So that when you actually bake your normal map, that detail gets captured into the normal map, and it looks like it's just, you know, physically molded into the surface. So yeah, that's a panel line, and you can do all sorts of fun stuff with panel lines. You can even add to them, like so. If I take this and I move this, uh, oh, hang on, like like so, I can add more detail to the panel, to the floater. Yeah. And then, yeah, like that, yeah. And I can actually do like so. And I can actually, yeah, there we go. Yeah. So you can add a little handle or something. But yeah, floaters are incredibly useful for all sorts of stuff. And um, I use them all the time. They're just like, if there's ever like some kind of surface detail you want to get, but it's like a pain in the butt to like model it out and get it to look smooth, like just use floaters. They're great. Yeah. Now I'm going to do the other little panel that's right there. And this seems to kind of contour with this curve here, but because it's so low poly, obviously mine's going to look a bit different because I'm using like this high detail stuff here. So first I'm going to copy this. I'm going to clone these faces, and I'm going to freeze the underlying object. Then I'm going to take this guy. I'm going to raise it off the surface a bit, and then I'm going to uh, adjust some of its proportions. Then I'm gonna slide this back a bit. Then I'm going to inset this. And take the middle one, push it down, and then I'm gonna put edge loops around those edges because I want those to be like semi-sharp corners. Then I'm gonna mirror it. Then I'm just gonna, yeah, throw my turbo smooth modifier on there. And yeah, then I'm gonna take the middle little crevice there, and I'm going to split it so I get that nice sharp seam. Ah, crap. Hang on. Symmetry. I need to put my axis in the middle so that it actually mirrors properly. There we go. Cool. And it's not quite as circular as I'd like. So maybe if I just got rid of that guy here to even out, and I can probably make that sharp. Okay, hang on. Shmeh. Shmeh. I'm gonna go smoothing group. Yeah, that's alright. And then just raise it up a bit. Wait, no. No? Hello? Okay, fine. I will make you sharp. I'll make you super sharp. There we go. Yeah. Then I'll just take you and move you over so you're whoop, more round. There we go. I don't know. Like, I could make that straight, but I don't know. It's just like a little more interesting. I don't know. I kind of like it being more subtle because it's like these floaters are already starting to take away from this broader shape. Don't know. What should I do here? Let me try. What else I could do is take that off, and then just combine these two. And then there we go. And if I wanted to make them a little bit more subtle, what I could do is I could, whoops, I could take this crevice, right? And I could grab this crevice too, and then I could convert that selection to vertexes. Wait, no, I need to grab all these guys. Then I need to do that. And then these guys. Okay. Okay. I need to slow down here. So I'll just grab all these guys. Then I'll take all these guys. Select all these guys. Then I'll select all these guys too. Now that I've got these, if I wanted to make all of this a little bit shallower and more subtle, I could just raise it up so it's like less prominent. Because I kind of want this overall shape to stand out more, and these panels are kind of like a little too harsh. But yeah, now I'll lower this back down just a little bit because I don't want it to be like invisible. Then I'll select both of these again and split them. Whoop, there we go. There we go. Yeah. That's looking nice. Yeah. Yeah, that's looking nice. And then I'm gonna give him a little fin. I'm gonna give him the little fin he's got there. And again, it's super simple. Just literally draw the frickin' thing. And yes. And shell it. Put it in the center. Move it like about there. And then going to give it a tiny bit of curve there. Yeah. And then I'm gonna color it green. Then all I got to do, Remove the bottom faces so that it's an open and it's nice and flat on the bottom, and bam. Bam, that's all we gotta do. Maybe thicken it up a little bit. Just cause, and maybe I'll even taper it. Yeah. Yeah. There we go. Cool. Looking nice. Looking real nice. Yeah, Blender, like, Ashton, Blender has most of this stuff. Honestly, Blender is an amazing tool, and, like, Blender gives Max a run for its money, but, like, there's still, like, a few things I wish Blender had, or that they were more obvious and easy to find. Because whenever I dip into Blender, I'm like, okay, I want to try modeling in Blender, you know, Blender just has a very weird interface, and if it does have certain Max features, they're just so hard to find. Um, or you just have to like download a plugin or something, which is fine. But yeah, there are reasons I and a lot of other 3D artists still use Max. There we go. Yeah, look at this. Look at this. This is all coming together. Yeah. Alright, I'm gonna take a very small break because I gotta use the restroom. But yeah, enjoy. I'm gonna take away all the freaking. Ignore that turbofan. That I don't think that was meant to actually be part of anything. I think that's just a shape, like a kit bash shape that the original artist put in there just to fill up the volume. But yeah, let me isolate my work, and yeah, enjoy. Um, enjoy this green uh, snoot while I go to the bathroom. Alright, I'm back. Let's see. How long have we been going for? Let's see here. About 2.5 hours. Wow. Yeah, whenever I do modeling stuff, like time just kind of blurs by. I have actually modeled for like 13 hours straight multiple times. And like I forget all of my bodily needs. Food, water, bathroom, all that stuff. I'll just go and get sucked into it, which is not particularly healthy. But yeah, this is starting to look fairly nice. It's really weird because like there's a lot of aspects of these like high-res vehicles made for Halo Wars 1 that are like weirdly low poly even though they're technically like high def models. And I say high def very loosely, right? Because it's like, look at this. Um, and that's not a knock on their work or anything, but like it's just like not what you would expect for a high-res render model. Um, but yeah, so like there's a lot of like just crunchy facets all over the place, and I don't always know what to do with them. So like for the Sparrowhawk, this guy, I'm just kind of like trying to like smooth them into something that looks kind of cool, like kind of stealth fightery. I don't know. Um, yeah, I'm just kind of like doing my best with what I got here. But yeah. Oh, hello. We don't want that. There we go. Yeah, you can usually tell when something's supposed to be rounded, but sometimes it's also just like really kind of unclear. Like this little divot right here, I don't know what that's supposed to be doing. It's not really super opaque what that is meant to do. Or super transparent or super, you know what I mean. Like it's not clear. It's not readily understood, intuitive, whatever word. Here we go. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, something along those lines. Yeah. This looks like that dog, the meme dog that was like, it's got a huge snoot. The "let me do it for you" dog. I don't know if you're familiar with that meme, but yeah, it looks like the snoot dog. The dog with the big old nose. Okay, what next? What next? Let's try getting on to the wangs. These wangs. These wings are a little thick, so I'm absolutely gonna make them like more like thin and streamlined and stuff because these are chonky boys. They're just way too thick. But yeah. Okay, so start really simple. Then I'm gonna just slowly add detail. So okay. Okay, so like that. And then I'm gonna take these guys. Well, first I need to give it some thickness because that's just how this modifier works. I'm gonna grab that and then that. Now it's like in the right bend. Okay. Just gonna, yeah, there we go. Um, okay, so another little trick I like to do. Sometimes instead of a shell modifier, if I want something to be like extruded straight down, but there's like certain funkiness, what I like to do is I like to clone the faces, flip the normals, and then I'll like squish them down just a little bit. And then I'll take the two edges and bridge them. And now, like, doing that, everything's kind of like straight and even and aligned. It's another little pro trick, pro tip, man. I got tons of them. Then I'll just make a cut across there. Um, yeah. And what I'm trying to do is get the right like angled taper um, to like each view of this thing. So like you can see on the edge, like the profile of the wing is like technically aerodynamic now, and I'm just gonna start adding detail and smoothing it. And it's not like it needs to be, aerodynamically correct or anything, but in terms of just like getting the right shape. And then just add a tiny bit of thickness to it. Um, yeah, yeah. Mm, yeah. And then now it's closer to like a more like practical wing shape. And again, not that this needs to be like entirely practical, but it's like, it, you know, it's better if it looks closer to something that is like, not ridiculous. Like I know that like people always like to argue about like realism in sci-fi and video games and stuff like that, and it's like my take is Halo is one of those franchises that's like it's not it's not entirely realistic, but it's also not entirely unrealistic either. Like there's so many technologies in Halo that we have today or like we'll have in like the next like 30 years. And there's even some technology we have that's like more advanced than what they have in Halo. So it's like Halo is a franchise. It's one of those kind of sci-fi properties. It's like there's aspects of it that are like ridiculous, right? Um, but then there's other like aspects that are like actually pretty hard, realistic, grounded sci-fi. Which is kind of why I like it. It's like that nice little in between, nice little balance. It's like it's it's got stuff that's goofy enough to be fun, but it's also got stuff that's like semi-realistic and semi-plausible. That's why I gravitate to Halo. It's the same thing with Aliens, which of course Halo is very largely inspired by, because Aliens also has a lot of like really practical, industrial sci-fi designs, and that's like its whole thing. That's why it appeals to so many people. So like, definitely doesn't have to like follow the all the laws of like aerodynamics, but because that's the kind of artist I am, I'm gonna be like, yeah, why not? You know, doesn't hurt. Like, at the very least, even if something isn't realistic, it should make sense to the story and the universe's own internal logic. Like, if the universe says that, like, hey, physics work like this, even if they're like fictional physics, you know, as an artist, you always like want to make sure that you are conforming to that fictional law of governing physics or like aesthetic design or whatever. Like just some examples of like very realistic stuff in Halo that is like, you know, is a thing. I mean, like obviously like in Halo we still use bullets, and like so bullets work and probably going to keep working. But there is also railguns, and railguns are a real thing that exist in real life. Um, Space elevators are a common sci-fi trope. It's like people are thinking of like space elevators as one of the like slightly less crazy way of economizing space. Not to say that those are like entirely practical, but like that is something actual engineers have studied and have attempted to try to get some kind of project off the ground. So like that has been seriously considered by actual engineers. Um, you know, um, the types of engines that the human vehicles run off of. Like it's usually either ethanol or electric or something like that. Um, in like some of the scanning technologies that the humans use. Like it's most of it is like not crazy ridiculous. It's not like when you get into the Forerunner territory of like basically being magic, right? And even the energy shields, that's another thing that blows my mind. It's like energy shields, you would think that that is like complete sci-fi mumbo jumbo garbage, right? And for the most part it is. But in certain ways, we already have energy shields in some form or fashion. So for example, one of the I have read recently that one of the prototype moon suits that NASA's working on is going to use basically it's going to project an electrostatic field around the suit itself. Like it has coils that run the length of the fibers of the suit and produces a small electrostatic um, uh, field that will repel moon dust off of the suit. And they need to do that because moon dust is insanely abrasive, and that was a huge problem for the original Apollo missions. Is moon dust would just like get into literally everything and like short circuit electronics and just like scuff up glass and fabrics and metal, and moon dust was a massive massive problem. So they more or less, and I know I'm using hyperbole here, but I don't care because it sounds freaking cool. More or less, we now have spacesuits with energy shields, which is pretty cool to think about. So it's like it's not as crazy as it sounds. And yes, with regards to swept wing fighter designs, yes, that is the big trade-off. You get hyper maneuverability, but also hyper instability. In fact, there was one prototype. NASA made in like I think it was the late 70s or 80s or something, where it was a swept wing design, and they had to invent a new flight computer just to make sure that it auto corrected the plane stability so that it wouldn't just fall out of the freaking sky. And like a human pilot would not be able to fly the thing straight without this flight computer. It was ridiculous. But once they got the flight computer, properly programmed, um, it was just like the most maneuverable aircraft you've ever seen. Of course, it did overstress the wings a lot. But yeah, not the most practical design ever. What I'm actually surprised about is like that more Halo vehicles don't have thrust vectoring, which if you don't know, thrust vectoring is basically you have flaps on the back of the engines which like direct the thrust into like a certain angle, up, down, left, right, and that steers the aircraft way harder than like flaps or canards or, ailerons or whatever can. Um, and like that's what the F-22 has, and that's what allows the F-22 to just like pull off these crazy stunts that defy gravity. And like that is something that like I'm surprised isn't on more like Halo designs, right? Like, I'm one of those like fanboys who's like, why don't you just like put thrust vectoring on everything? It's so cool. Obviously, there's probably reasons for it. It's very expensive and complex, but I don't know, like it's so cool. Put thrust vectoring on everything. Do it. Chris Lucky. Yeah, I think it was called the X31. You can see pictures of it if you Google it. It's like the swept wing design. It's a white experimental fighter jet with like a single vertical stabilizer, and yeah, it just like does crazy stunts. I think NASA actually developed it in partnership with the Air Force. It's crazy. Uh, Mary, yeah, I am doing Halo Wars 1 and 2 cut content. And like yeah, the mech suit, I think you're referring to the prototype Mjolnir armor from the Halo Legends series. And yeah, I would like to make that someday. Just because like it's like for those of y'all who don't know, in that one Halo anime series that came out years and years ago, Halo Legends, they basically had a short that was the very first iteration of the Mjolnir armor, and God, I sound like such a nerd when I talk about this. Basically, it was the first Spartan armor, and it was really more of a mech suit than an armor, and it was like so like first gen, so prototypey that it was like a huge mecha tank armor, and it had to like be plugged in with a power cord for it to work. It's a really cool short, and like that design is technically canon, and even in Halo Wars 2, Sergeant Johnson is wearing one. He like makes a cameo as a playable character in Halo Wars 2, and like he just walks around with this giant like Yggdrasil Spartan mech armor. What was I doing? I got really distracted. Oh yeah, yeah. It was called the prototype. Why did Master Chief's mech suit get cut? I don't know. I didn't know Master Chief was gonna have a mech suit. I don't think he was in Halo Wars 2. Um, yeah, not sure. Now I gotta start actually modeling this thing. Just kind of, what am I gonna do here? Okay, okay. I know what I'm gonna do. I know what I want to do here. Wait, crap. I need to make sure that the top and bottom line up here. So I'm going to make some cuts on the bottom that match up with the top. Then I'm going to take that and I'm going to just, oh my God, it's getting all screwy on me. Oh, because I have snap still turned on. I'm just gonna, yeah, there we go. That works. And there we go. Okay. I'm just gonna save off a clone of that. And then I'm gonna take these, I'm gonna bevel them in a little bit. Gonna take these and slide them up a little. Yeah, there we go. Then I'm gonna take all that and okay. The heck is all that? What's all that business? No. No, go away. Go away. There we go. Cool. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Love it. Yeah, I got to talking about like fighter jets and sci-fi technology and got distracted. Do, 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 do. Hmm. Can we 3D print this model? Uh, hmm. That's not a terrible idea. I mean, like, that'd be pretty sweet. I know absolutely how to convert models into 3D print files. I've done quite a bit of that work. So maybe, yeah. Um, we'll see when I'm done. Be pretty cool. Okay. Also, I'm getting kind of tired. I might be heading off in just a bit. Um, but yeah, this has been super fun. Thank you all for tuning into the stream. Again, I don't know how frequently I would be doing this. This is kind of like a very first time doing any sort of streaming. Um, but yeah, if you guys enjoy this, I guess I could make it a habit every once in a while. Not that I'm gonna try to like follow any kind of schedule because I got so much other stuff going on. Um, but every once in a blue moon, I might just pop in and say, "Hey, I'm modeling something." But yeah, okay, all right. I haven't gotten very far on the wing, but let's just let's take all the stuff I made so far, and I'll make a selection set. Poly. Okay, now. Whoa, whoa, hello. Okay, cool. But yeah, that's where it is so far. And then take this and move it over here. And yeah, there it is. That's what I got so far. Um, hang on. Yup. It's coming along. Nothing too crazy yet, but it's coming along. Alright, I think I'm going to call it here. Thank you, everybody who's been tuning in. This was very much impromptu, like random stream I decided to do, and it's pretty cool to have people just like show up and like take a peek at what I'm working on. So yeah, I shall see you all around.